Hello, Bike Club. What's going on? Welcome to episode 187 of the Byte, that weekly wrestling podcast available every single Wednesday night, talking about the road to WrestleMania, because this is the week before the week, because next week we're going to be traveling to WrestleMania, doing Facebook Lives over at facebook.com/ByteThatCast. We're going to be attending NXT, the Hall of Fame, Access, about 30 different wrestling events that are going to be happening, and this is made possible thanks to all of your awesome support, available every Wednesday night across all of the major podcast platforms. We also want to share and spread the love to our lovely, lovely Patrons, including a brand new Patreon, Kevin LaFleur, hopefully I got your name right, Paul Lobin, and Town Nation. We also want to give an extra layer of love for Kevin LaFleur for making a one-time donation, as well as Liam Vincent. Remember, you can support us directly, get access to raw, uncut, pre-show edition also of the podcast by going to patreon.com/ByteThat. You can also go to ByteThat.com and make a one-time donation, get a shout-out, you spread the love, you make sure that Keith smiles forever. My name is Juan Velos. I am,
sounds tired.
At least until next week, I am still from the Shining Star of the Caribbean, also from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Keith Poshik.
Wait, you're from the Shining Star of the Caribbean and Winnipeg, Manitoba? Did you move to my neighborhood? Is that what you're telling me?
I forgot a comma. I almost said I forgot a comma.
Okay.
I didn't forget a comma, but I did forget a comma. So we got Keith Poshik, and we also got Ryan McNulty from Boston, Mass. As I mentioned, guys, next week, we got to say, now residing in, or at least now physically in Orlando, Florida, at least for the Facebook Live stuff. This is the last week that we're going to be having this traditional format of the podcast, because we will have Bytemania happening this upcoming Saturday.
Ever.
Not the last one ever, but the last one until after that.
We're just going to have a little bit of a different formula next week. We should be back to business the week after. So
but it's because
don't worry.
It's a lot of good things happening.
Was putting a lot of finalities in there, and it's not going to be that dramatic.
It's the beginning of a brand new phase. Now, because this is so big, and this is like completely, like removing the funny stuff and Bytemania and everything, I did publish a video of this on our VidMe channel, vid.me/ByteThat, and this is the situation with Paige. So instead of just getting to the Raw and Smackdown talk, we're going to talk about this now, and then we're going to move on with the rest of the show, avoiding any references. Obviously, this is a very, very sensitive topic. Paige has not been the only person to be affected by this, like Celeste, aka Caitlyn, many other superstars like Emma Watson. Like, this is a hacking scandal, much like the one that happened a couple of years ago. But sadly, Paige got the worst end of it, where it wasn't just pictures, it was videos, including people like Brad Maddox, who has completely gone absent from social media, deleted all his social media accounts. Xavier Woods is in a video. And this happened, I guess, in around 2013, 2014. And as of this moment, WWE has not publicly said anything, but they have held meetings. We saw Xavier Woods on Raw. They poked a little bit of fun at what happened, but then they got out of the way. Because honestly, what can you do about this? So more so than asking for your reaction, I want to get your reaction to the reactions, if that makes sense. Because the bad part about this is how people are now just, talking crap about Paige. We've had the things happening with Alberto Del Rio where everybody's saying they're crazy, but this happened way before, right? So how do you guys feel about that reaction to everything that has happened?
People are, a lot of people, I don't want to include everybody, but there's just people really show you who they are based on how they act on the internet, because when they can hide behind a computer, they can say a bunch of things that even they may not even mean, but they're just trying to get their kicks. And it is disgusting to see how people are just going crazy over this and harassing people, harassing Paige, harassing her family, harassing other women in the WWE and the men involved in the videos. It's completely ridiculous, and I was very happy that so far it seems WWE is kind of they're not going to do anything, because really Paige, Brad Maddox, Xavier Woods, they're really victims in this situation, because they had these private videos and They were not meant to be seen by anybody else. And then someone comes in and steals their property, essentially, and releases it to the public. Very embarrassing situation. And yeah, I really just feel for everyone involved. And especially, like, you know, people try and say, oh, you know, they're in the public eye, they should be more responsible. You know, people, they're human beings. They're gonna do things, adult things in their own private lives, and they have every right to do so. Not only that, but obviously WWE did have a meeting when the whole Seth Rollins thing happened, right? When his pictures leaked out, and that was a very different situation. But these things were recorded before that even happened, so it's not even like they told WWE superstars, hey, stop doing stuff, and then like they recorded something after the fact. This was most likely before the whole Seth Rollins thing even happened.
And like you mentioned, this is part of their private lives. So even then, right?
That's what I'm saying, is even like you can't even blame. I mean, not that they should be blamed anyway, but I'm saying that this happened even before WWE was making statements about being careful and things like that. You know what I mean? This just came back to haunt them from years ago.
Exactly. What people do in their private lives we shouldn't ridicule them or like basically claim that it's wrong, because that's their private lives. There comes a point where you have to separate the entertainer from the entertainment. And like you said, think about them as human beings. And the reaction to all of this it's been sickening. That's really the only word for it. Just victimizing people and just like basically talking negative about them. Like nothing illegal happened. What people do in their own private time, they're allowed to do because they're human beings, as long as you are not breaking the law. So what's the problem here? Why are people acting this way? It's been very shocking to me.
Yeah, the two things I want to add. Number one, and it's a valid argument, is don't record yourself doing that. And it's easy to go down that route, but for that, I also bring up another example. You know, I work in mental health a lot outside of the podcast stuff and all that. And when taking trainings about domestic violence and sexual abuse, they bring up a really sensitive scenario, which is imagine a man or woman that is sexually attractive, and then they are also wearing revealing clothing. Does that give you the right to do things with that person regardless of what they choose? It's like they choose what they want with their body. You choose to hack their phone, because people forget the issue is not that they recorded this. Now, of course, be careful, because that's a whole different story, right? Where in today's world, we need to be way more selective about what we do with their phones. Like in my case, I don't even worry about like, hey, what about nasty stuff I have on my phone? I worry about, I have confidential information about me, about my personal life, you know, like bank account stuff and all that. And whenever you put something on your phone, you have to be aware, thanks to clouds, thanks to, you know, excessive amounts of storage, if that gets taken away from you, your life will change. Because Paige, we've talked about some things that she's done that, yes, they have been immature, but think about how far she skyrocketed, and this happened before we even started talking about the Paige with Alberto Del Rio and all that stuff. So we just got to be really, really careful about that. So once again, just if you can avoid recording things, that's fine, but that's not what this is about. This is about somebody that got hacked, something that happened out of her control, but she's being blamed for that. And I think that we as human beings can't cyberbullying. That is literally cyberbullying. How would you feel if you had that happen to you? You feel like hell. So don't do it. Don't do it to anybody, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's your friend, whether it's your enemy, because nobody deserves that. Nobody.
Yeah, and even Paige's mother has commented that she's really concerned with how she's kind of taking everything right now. So, you know, it would be nice if we could have a little more positivity towards Paige, because I think she really needs it right now.
Or like not even going as far as positivity, like none of our business. Let's not even talk about it. Let's talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, let's do it, my friends. So, folks, that is all we will be talking about the Paige situation. Obviously unfortunate, but there is a lot of good stuff to talk about, and the not good stuff sometimes when you have a 3-hour show. So remember that every single week we go to Twitter, Byte That Cast. We ask you what you thought about Raw, what you thought about SmackDown. This week was an easy argument because for the past couple of weeks, they've been, a little bit 50-50, but with Raw, 62%, the majority gave it a 2 out of 4, saying it was a meh. With SmackDown, and this is a SmackDown heavy show, no surprise based on everything that transpired. With SmackDown, 55% gave it a 3 out of 4, followed by 39% giving it a solid 4 out of 4, saying it was great. Remember, we always do these polls, so make sure to follow us across all of social media, especially during WrestleMania weekend. I gotta say, man, Raw has done an okay job of building WrestleMania. I think it's been questionable. Like now Nia just got added to the match by beating the champion for the women's championship match on Raw, which to me is like everybody's been beating everybody in that division, like whoever wins, whatever. Like Nia is actually the only person on Raw that if she wins the women's championship, it makes sense because she hasn't held it. She's been the one that's farthest away from it. When you look at SmackDown though, AJ Styles, Shane McMahon, John Cena, The Miz, those two things alone are awesome. But then you talk about a great match with American Alpha and the Usos. We got brand new champions a week before WrestleMania. SmackDown felt like it was on the road to WrestleMania. What did you guys think about the overall WWE package this week?
I think more than most weeks, it really showed on the Raw side that, and I mean no offense to Chris Jericho or Kevin Owens on this one, but Raw's biggest matches involve two guys that weren't even there and a match we're still not sure is happening because of a potential injury. Like that's all of the steam going into WrestleMania taken out of it completely. And boy, did it feel like that this week, where on the SmackDown side, it's just firing on all cylinders. You've got all your big matches. You're going right into the event, building it up as big as it can. And that's why SmackDown, at least in my opinion, felt so superior to Raw this week.
Keith pretty much nailed it. I really don't have anything to add there. He hit every point I wanted to hit.
So overall, basically, SmackDown, you did awesome. So let's get to some of the specific details about what happened on Raw. And the first one is Mick Foley, because last week we had the situation where Mick Foley tried to fire Stephanie. I don't think anybody just sat down and told him it is literally impossible. She is seriously your boss. You cannot fire your boss. Otherwise, I think a lot of people would maybe try to do that in real life. So Mick Foley's gone. Like the general thing to really talk about this is that after weeks upon months of rumors that Mick Foley, his surgery after WrestleMania, he's going to be gone for a little while. He did almost the Ric Flair thing. It flashed me back to when Ric Flair was doing the retirement promo, but then said, I will never retire. Except now, Mick Foley was like, yeah, I'm not gone. And then Stephanie just said, you're not just gone, you're fired. So get out of here. So it seems like maybe we just have the authority taking over Monday Night Raw. It's back, and I don't know how to really feel about that so far.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have an indication if they're going to replace the general manager or not. But I mean, I think we all saw this coming, right? Mick Foley's days were numbered the second he got the position. You knew the whole Stephanie Mick Foley dynamic would play out pretty much exactly how it did, where Foley would try to do the right thing and then just get belittled by Stephanie McMahon.
Unless it had to absolutely happen for medical reasons or whatever, it feels like it's very weird that this happened right before WrestleMania. It seems like a very after WrestleMania thing to me.
Yeah, right? Like, I think all of this is crazy how you basically summed up what's happening with Raw. Raw is a lot of uncertainty 2 weeks before WrestleMania, where the one match that we're all thinking about is now apparently going to be an unsanctioned match. But what does that mean? Like, is Seth Rollins actually injured? We still don't have details about that as to maybe they kind of have a match, but they have more of a brawl and just be safe. Plus, you got to think about safety. Triple H is probably your go-to guy, right? Where Triple H can make everything seem as physical as possible, but it can overall be a pretty safe match. When you think about an unsanctioned match, the one I do remember was in 2002, the SummerSlam match with Triple H. against Shawn Michaels with the sledgehammer to the back and all that stuff. Is that what you think about, or what was your immediate reaction when you saw this swerve happening?
Yeah, my immediate reaction is that, holy crap, I haven't thought about an unsanctioned match in a very long time. It's been a while since they've done one. But clearly, just because in kayfabe it's an unsanctioned match doesn't mean that it's unsanctioned really in WWE. I don't think they would put Rollins in there if it wasn't safe to do so. But this unsanctioned gimmick, like you said, might be a way for them to use a lot of bells and whistles, smoke and mirrors, so that there's not a lot of stress on Seth Rollins for this match. And that seems like the route that they're taking. It's a very creative way to just be like, let's see if we can just pull this match off despite the heavy circumstances of trying to get a guy with like a torn MCL through a match. It's crazy. They're really, like, I've never seen them force something into a WrestleMania this hard before. So I really hope Seth Rollins doesn't re-injure himself doing this.
It almost feels like they kind of have to force it as hard as they are into a WrestleMania.
Poor guy.
Right? It for whatever reason, because this is how my brain works, my immediate reaction was a quote from Maven from many years ago where he...
Never thought I'd hear that.
I can't remember when and I can't remember where, but he mentioned how...
At some point, Maven said
at
something.
some point, Maven mentioned wrestling Triple H, it was like wrestling a cloud in the way that he was like the most safe, protected match he ever had. And that's probably why they can get away with something like this. But the whole unsanctioned match thing feels like almost an excuse to throw all the bells and whistles, almost very Sting versus Triple H-esque, where that match just broke down into how many things can we throw into it. Kind of seems like the direction they were going, but
Not
at the same time,
though.
Yeah, but what are you expecting from a potentially injured guy in a match? But the whole unsanctioned match thing kind of feels like one of those, okay, WWE, really things where you've got guys that have been around on the other brand for a while saying, I can't wrestle, but if I could, you could, or I would do this.
Yeah, even Daniel Bryan sent out a tweet.
One thing in this favor is interference is probably going to be up the wazoo. Like, we're going to have like Joe and Zayn in this match probably, so that Rollins doesn't have to do as much.
Or maybe a returning Damon.
Yeah, Damon. As a quick side note, I believe that this match,
guy who injured him.
Hey, whatever. Hey, they were laying next to each other in a picture. I think they've made up. Since then. But you know what actually got me thinking about the fact that it is an outdoor arena, right? Is that this match and the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton match have to be at the lower portion of the show, like later on, because of the entrance. You can't have the Fireflies in the daytime. And you have the demon come back. It's like
the Undertaker problem from the year he faced Bray Wyatt when they were in California and it was still light out during
It's weird.
His,
it doesn't work. Yeah, you gotta put those matches later, but I guess we'll talk about
Florida,
that next week.
Though, it won't be nearly as bad as it was in California because it's still the East Coast, and like when I was at WrestleMania 29. It was still, maybe the first few matches, but it did get dark relatively quickly.
Yeah, it gets darker way faster than it does in California.
Yeah, it's not going to be nearly as bad. So maybe like the first 4 matches or so will probably be light. And then from then on, it should be good to go.
So with Raw, another match that we did get a little bit more follow-up. This is happening. Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, best friends no more. We saw the real side of Kevin Owens on Raw. And I really enjoyed this. And this reminded me of the Bayley Charlotte Flair segment that happened a couple weeks back, but done right. It actually made sense why you bring up these pictures. You bring up the picture of Kevin Owens doing the Jericho pose, which they've referenced in the past in multiple interviews. It's just great to see how long Chris Jericho has been there wrestling. Like, this guy idolized him. And now that guy not only idolized you, he betrayed you. He went on both sides of the spectrum And I think it's a really nice touch where you think, how else can you add some more depth to the storyline? I think this is how you go about doing it. Are you still feeling the hype?
Yeah, definitely. This segment, even if I thought this was a really great promo, and maybe it wasn't the greatest promo ever, but I thought it was just really masterfully done, and just the way it was structured and everything. And Jericho commanded the crowd so perfectly. He paused at the right time to know, like, to get the audience to react to the next thing he was going to say.
The pen, everything.
Yeah, everything with the pen. Yeah, just every pause and everything. It was all done for a reason. It was perfectly structured. It made sense. And it, like you said, it added a new layer. You have Kevin Owens as a fan of Jericho when he was a kid, and it totally plays into the feud. And then to actually have Owens attack at the end and then do the pose that he did in the photo, it just like, it all comes full circle. So it was just, everything about it was I thought was fantastic.
It all felt very Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho WrestleMania 19-esque, where it's the whole student becoming the master thing, and I think they nailed it perfectly. Like Juan mentioned, it felt like the Charlotte Bayley thing from a couple of weeks ago done right.
Yeah, I'm just so happy that they're doing this. As much as I love all of this, like I hate that as a fan in the back of my head, I always think to myself, like, are these matches going to have enough time? I know WrestleMania is like a 20-hour show, but we've been dealt with disappointment. Like, I will continue to bring it for multiple years.
Now, right? Did WrestleMania last year go over?
Yeah, like an hour over.
Even though it's already like a 4-hour show.
Yeah,
why
somehow
not
they
more?
can't fit it. Is there going to be like 14 matches or something like that?
You got a lot of matches, and you got to think that they're going to be doing the Battle Royal. I'm wondering, like, which one of these matches is going to end up being a pre-show match. I hope that none of them do. The
pre-show's gonna be like what, like 2 hours long?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours
or something?
long usually.
Yeah,
so
it's
they'll
like
probably
17
be like
hours for the pre-show.
There could be 3 or 4 pre-show matches.
Although what I really hope doesn't happen, man, and I don't know how you guys feel about that, the Cruiserweight match. Do not make that a pre-show match. If you want to show how much you guys care about the Cruiserweights, you have the best 2 guys, because Keith and I particularly have been talking about this. These are the best 2 guys that you have to build the division around. So if you don't do that and you bump them down to the pre-show, you just wasted it. Like, this is it right here.
I might have some bad news for you, fella.
Damn it, guys.
Just thinking about everything, it seems super unlikely that I'll make it. I agree with you, though. If you want to make a statement that, hey, you should care about these guys, you got to put them on the main show. I feel like the Andre Battle Royal will probably get on the pre-show. Maybe one of the women's title matches even. I'm not even sure.
If I were to guess, it would be the Raw Tag Team title match, the Cruiserweight match, and probably one of the women's, probably
the SmackDown women's title match
on the pre-show.
One thing that most people that won't attend an outdoor event like WrestleMania is that the pre-show matches suck because the sun is real. The sun is still out there. Oh, God. Like, when Keith and I went there in Miami, not Orlando, I didn't realize that. Like, we didn't have suntan lotion or anything. And, like, I didn't care about what was happening in the ring because I was just trying to not die. You're standing out there for like an hour and a half in pure sunlight. Like, it gets a little bit better. But that's why I think it's also better to just wait a little bit. But we can't always get what we want. Now, folks, getting a little bit to what happened on SmackDown Live. The first surprising development is that we have brand new tag team champions in the Usos when they defeated American Alpha in what was a classic match. That was a great match. Like, every little thing about it, the false finishes. I think that this was the first tag team match in a while, particularly non-NXT, because like in NXT, we've had a lot of matches like this with the tag false finishes, with the revival and all that. But often in the main roster, it's pretty clear when the match is going to end. And there were 2 times here where I thought, this is it.
Yeah, I was going to say, 2 times they had finishes, like false finishes, that any other match you would have really thought that was it. Because it's like, oh, the Usos got the upper hand here. It's totally going to be over. Then it's not. Then American Alpha totally has it here. No. And then Usos pick up the win. Yeah, I was really happy to see just a fantastic SmackDown tag team match, because we've been talking for a while about how the SmackDown tag division has really just not gotten a lot of love, and this is the exact type of match that they need. But will it lead to a WrestleMania match? Even like at this point, I'm like, give us the pre-show. At least let these guys be on the show.
Yeah, but there's already a lot of matches, right? So maybe this was like, hey, you're not going to get a Mania match, so have a fantastic SmackDown match.
You got to get all the title matches, or most of them.
You know, I could hope. I hope that they put it on the Usos so American Alpha can get like a big WrestleMania win, but at this point, you never know, right? Because WrestleMania is already so jam-packed. Honestly, if there's a title to cut from the show, it's probably the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, because yes, that was an incredible match. It was a fantastic match, but that's what it's like in the SmackDown tag division all the time. They put on fantastic matches. We even said it a couple of weeks ago, last week, that they have amazing matches, but that's kind of it. An amazing match goes a long way for that week, but in a couple of weeks, we'll be saying the exact same thing about the SmackDown tag division. There's not a lot of longevity in it. Now, if the Usos are going to be the champions, maybe they can change that, because the Usos they've had the hell of a transformation since the brand split. So maybe they can add that thing that's missing to the SmackDown tag division. And I hope so, because I like these new Usos.
As much as I'm happy that the Usos won it, I was just thinking to myself, like, what was the best moment of the American Alpha's tag team title, like a storyline or length? And there was nothing. Like, we talked about how they were absent on multiple SmackDowns, so you come back, you have a great match, but you lose. And the whole time in between, you did a lot of nothing. You just did some wrestling. Like, the Usos have personality, and I think that goes a long way in helping them. Like, I'm not sure if they're going to go down this route of, hey, maybe we're not as good as we think we are, because they did plant the seeds. They did mention that Chad Gable is a former Olympian, talking a little bit about Kurt Angle. So it's like, hey, maybe Kurt Angle can help you guys. But does that really help them when the wrestling portion of the American Alpha is not the problem? The problem is, actually, there's no problem with them if you consider what they did in NXT. It's just,
the problem with them is they're just not getting time to showcase their personalities. Yeah. And they're barely getting any TV time at all. So they really just needed more time for the audience to connect with them, more promo type stuff. If they had Kurt Angle can do anything. He can do funny, he can do serious. So you have Kurt Angle with them, then all of a sudden their like segments that show their personality get a lot better, and they actually get them, because American Alpha really hasn't had any of that. Have they even really had any type of promo that wasn't talking smack? I can't even think of one.
No.
Excellent point, man. When you do all the talking smack, but there's nothing on SmackDown, you can try to justify some things, but you got to develop some character.
You can't bank on everybody watching talking smack. As much as it is actually worth watching, especially now that you have 205 Live in between. Yeah, because like if you didn't have 205 Live in between, and sorry to interrupt you there, like it would make more sense. But you have that hour gap, so you can't just say, of course you gotta watch Talking Smack. It's a 4-hour combination then, if you include 205 Live. Tyler Breeze made a pretty good Nikki Bella impression, right? Or cosplaying.
It was fabulous.
Maybe think of
his
what I got to
career,
take
man.
over. Just. I don't have that physical shape, man. Like, he can pull off the ab stuff. Like, I can't do the AJ Lee stuff. So I'm wearing a full-length t-shirt. But real talk, this Total Bellas thing was gold. It was solid gold. Right?
A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned how this is pretty much going down the lines of Cena versus The Rock, and that's all I could see with this Total Bella BS vignette that happened this week, and it was good. I probably sound like a broken record with this. It was good, but it still does nothing for me. As far as the match goes, it's been some fun promos. I could care less about their WrestleMania match.
Well, hey, the comedy, like, this was legitimately funny segments. I totally get you, Keith. The match is probably not going to be all that exciting.
Maybe matter.
Yeah, the match doesn't matter. Like I said, we've said before, just let's enjoy the ride. because the ride
maybe
has
it's
been
not
great.
my type of humor, but I didn't think it was that funny.
What? I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was kind of dumb.
The Miz was so on point with everything, like the way that they did all the jokes, all the ring jokes, like the Diamond Dallas Page DVD.
You know what?
It was a good John Cena impression. Like the Miz.
Get over here.
Don't even go there. Like don't even.
Cup of haters.
I'm gonna murder you.
Cup of
But no,
haters.
like to be serious, like it was a really good John Cena impression. The Miz was on point with his Cena impersonation, but almost to kind of play into when Cena was on Talking Smack. It's something we've seen 100 times already. Somebody going, "Oh, John Cena going away, hustle, loyalty, respect. You can't see me."
The Miz
going
did
through
it
that whole
pretty
thing.
exceptionally well, though.
He did.
Yeah. This was the most well done Cena parody.
But if you
I've seen in a while.
If you walk old ground exceptionally well, you're still walking old ground.
There's nowhere else to go. Like the whole thing that we need to remember is John Cena is not going to evolve any more than he did. Like he's already at Charizard level. You don't. Can you get higher now? Like I'm not.
Yeah, you can. You can
Damn
mega
it.
evolve into a Charizard X or Y.
Okay,
so get on point here.
Keith, quickly, give me a Pokemon that doesn't evolve.
Butterfree, probably.
Like Butterfree. Like John Cena is like Butterfree. You can't evolve him more than you already did. So what can you do other than just fine tune it? This was a higher quality production version of what we've seen with the first time we had The Miz versus John Cena, when we had The Rock versus John Cena, when we had Edge versus John Cena, when we had Triple H versus John Cena. I can go on because it's always been the same thing. Like they either talk about the fact that John Cena can't wrestle, he's not funny, 1,000 t-shirts, but that's what works because it feels real about it. Like what I liked about this is like I was saying the you know what thing earlier, and it made it feel real. Like when Maryse was saying that consistently because Nikki does it. Because to me, I always think that the best storylines is when they add they sprinkle in a little bit of realism, and I do think there was something real about this. I think that somebody backstage
absolutely.
legitimately is like, so Nikki Bella, if she's part of the women's division, she becomes champion. Is it because of her or is it because of John Cena? We will never know, but I guarantee you there are plenty of people backstage that think about that, even if it's not true, and that's what I like about it.
100%. Like a lot of these things are just based on assumptions or speculations about Cena and Nikki Bella, and that's what makes it hilarious. You're playing off of things that people are thinking, and it becomes this relatable thing. And I thought it was just super well done. And then Cena on Talking Smack just like meticulously tore The Miz apart too. So it's great. The promos have been phenomenal.
As my concluding thought, and everybody listening, let me know what you think about this. I think the real delivery is that The Miz is in the John Cena position where John Cena, let me rephrase it to make sure it's clear. Like
He's The Rock.
John Cena is in Triple H's position, and The Miz is in John Cena's position. We are elevating The Miz to where John Cena was at that time he feuded with Triple H. So when John Cena leaves, Liv Morgan, maybe. You live Morgan, The Miz, up to a higher level. And it makes everybody happy. It'll make me happy.
Yes, but the big difference there is that John Cena won versus Triple H. And that's probably not happening.
We will find out at WrestleMania.
Hey, you got
Keith.
Maryse and Nikki Bella in there as kind of a buffer to where one of them could take the pin. You know, Nikki Bella could take the pin so that Miz technically wins the match. Doesn't
That's
really
possibility.
solidify him though. As a main, that does.
No.
If,
Bella made
if
Tyler
Maryse
Breeze
pins
tap out.
Nikki, I don't go, wow, the Miz a real main eventer now, but he does
Exactly.
win the match.
Some shenanigans will happen. Also, guys, like 1,000 Eric Rowans returned to SmackDown Live. We didn't just get one Eric Rowan. We got like just 1,000 of them. Luke Harper, we don't
He
need
heard
him.
it was WrestleMania season, so he needed to come back.
Man, he turned into Piccolo, multiplied himself a couple times, And I'm very happy about this. I think that, Ryan, you made a point about this, like a year and a half, if not 2 years ago, about how you were surprised that he didn't try to make a cult, like an actual Bray Wyatt cult. He just had these two people behind him. Eventually it was three with Braun Strowman. But it seems like they're going out of their way to at least have a little bit of fun. I don't think this will be a weekly thing, but I do like that they went an extra mile to show you, hey, he's not by himself. If he needs to persuade people to fight for him or to do things for him, he can. So what do you think about that?
I really liked it. This is like a really kind of quick thing where Orton gets beaten down and Bray Wyatt's got all these followers around him, but it makes Bray Wyatt seem so much more intimidating and powerful when he has more followers around him, aside from the same kind of two people we always used to see him with. And this was awesome. And the other thing I liked is that finally, there is some sort of evolution to Bray Wyatt's character. Like something that happened in a storyline actually affected somebody, and now they're acting differently because of the events that have transpired. It's a crazy concept, but apparently events that unfold can actually change somebody's character.
I really can't wait till WrestleMania to see if they go all the way with this, in the way that when Bray Wyatt steps into the ring, is it going to be the same move set? Is it going to be the same moves? And then it just becomes the same Bray Wyatt as before. You don't really see that much change. Or are they really going to go all the way with this evolution and like, hey, it's a way more intense, a way crazier Bray Wyatt. He doesn't need to be doing like crazy moonsaults and crazy power slams and stuff like that to change it. But just like the little ticks in the ring, it like, does he seem a little more powerful?
A ton of moves that he does, but just that his demeanor in this feud, at least, his new aggression that he's showing, his new power and aggression that he's showing against Orton in these segments needs to show through in the ring. You need to feel like, okay, Bray Wyatt is actually more powerful now than he used to be.
Wait. I really hope they go that far.
So based on what you guys are saying, I think we can agree that Bray Wyatt is now the new face of fear. There's a whole different tier of, the first one, you lose to Undertaker, so magically you become the new face of fear. Now, you just get a bunch of Eric Rowan's together, you step it up a little bit.
I might say
it's a little too early for that. We've been burned way too many times with Bray Wyatt. It's nice that he actually feels credible. There was a long time where we were like, we thought he wouldn't even become WWE champion anymore with the way that...
He was Dolph Ziggler tier.
He really was. He was being treated that way. And it's amazing what this brand split and a well-focused storyline has done for Bray Wyatt. It's incredible. A year ago, I would have never pictured something like this. I would have never pictured Bray Wyatt walking into WrestleMania as WWE champion.
All that said, we still haven't approached that pivot point for Bray Wyatt where it can go all the way into this great thing, or we can end up exactly where we started. Like WrestleMania is going to be a big moment for Bray one way or another.
They're just trying to get him to be solidified as like a main event type of guy. That's a long ways from Undertaker level. That's another tier in and of itself.
I'm just happy I'm finally getting that match, because I think it was you, Keith, that you told me there's no way that's happening, even though you wanted to see it as well. And the fact that throughout all the rubble, throughout all the battles, we are getting the match we wanted to see at WrestleMania. I'm just hoping that they get that, because I don't think Bray Wyatt has had that match. Like, not even a WrestleMania match, just the one match you can say, hey, man, this is the Bray Wyatt match that finally got him to the different level. He had one with, like, John Cena, where he got the chair thrown to his, the steps thrown to his face. But that was about it.
So good.
He had a fantastic match with Daniel Bryan, but that was also like his first like pay-per-view match that was like a really big deal too. And that was forever ago.
God, that match was so good at the Royal Rumble with him and D-Bry. Then he had that feud with Cena, and here we are.
It's been a while.
Hey, it came around though. Cena eventually returned the favor and Bray pinned him
After
twice
3 losses.
in 2 nights, and it worked out pretty well for him, I'd say.
Yeah, because then he went on to Jericho. That was a banger, right? Then he went on to Roman Reigns. That was another banger,
I'm saying
right?
that Bray Wyatt...
And he went on to The Undertaker. That was sure a banger, right?
Playa, all right? I'm saying it took a long time for Cena to pay Bray Wyatt back. Like, I'm talking most recently when Bray won the title. He pinned John Cena 2 straight nights.
And that did wonders for him.
It eventually came around. He just
I thought you were talking about in that feud.
No,
That's on me. That's on me. Years later, yes.
Yeah, I'm
full
talking
circle.
years later, Cena returned the favor.
We're all happy now. We are all happy. And now?
Hey, we want to let you guys know that this episode is brought to you by Skills. Skills lets you play mobile games you love and win real cash prizes. I myself had a chance to play some strike bowling. I had a lot of fun with it. My best score right now is a 146, so I got a lot of room for improvement. You know, I'm starting to hit those strikes, though, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. All Skills games are free to play with the option for competing for cash and prizes. That's right, you can win real money playing games on your iOS or Android device. In fact, Mike C and Alex H both won over $100,000 playing strike bowling on their phone. In fact, Skills has awarded over $70 million in prizes since 2014. You can win up to $150 in a single tournament with entry fees as low as a penny. Skills has a variety of games including puzzles, bubble bursting, bowling, pool, solitaire, trivia, and more. Join over 50,000 users that have won $100 or more. Download your favorite game at skills.com/byte and start winning cash playing games on your phone or tablet. When you make a deposit, use the promo code BYTE for an extra $10. That's skills.com, skills with a Z, skills.com/BYTE, and we thank them for sponsoring the show.
Got to talk a little bit about the WWE Hall of Fame. Personally, the show that I may be looking forward to the most at WrestleMania. Originally, Ryan, you were talking about how you were considering skipping the Hall of Fame this year because it's...
Yeah, how do you feel about that now?
Not a chance of skipping it now. As soon as Kurt Angle was in, I'm like, okay, I'm 100% going now.
So I'm just going to run down some of the combinations that we have confirmed. So Kurt Angle's going in. Inducting Kurt Angle is John Cena.
Oh, it's going to be so good. So good.
That's going to be great. Like the conversations, I'm hoping that he talks a little bit about like that evolution of John Cena. You know, obviously he had his first match with Kurt Angle and main roster at that pay-per-view.
Ruthless.
I can't wait to hear about that. So then we have Teddy Long, Holla Holla. Maybe we got to get a tag team match reference or something there. You know what's going to happen. Inducting him will be the APA. So once again, we got JBL and we got Farouk. JBL, an excellent storyteller. That is also like something that I just want to sit down and bask in these stories, right?
Yes,
No,
I also
definitely.
want to bask in these stories.
So another combination that's looking pretty solid. The Rock and Roll Express, one of the most underrated tag teams. You know, a lot of people talk about them, that they should be talked about at a higher level. And speaking of a higher level, Jim Cornette is inducting them. The man that people said he is never stepping foot inside a WWE ring. This is what I think happened. And Keith and I can talk about this more because we saw this live. The moment we knew that Mike Tyson was going to go in the Hall of Fame, we sat there going, man, we are going to get to see the unaired version of this because there's no way in hell half the stuff he says will come out, which was true.
And we were right.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a train wreck.
So now we get part 2 with Jim Cornette. Give me Jim Cornette talking for like 3 hours, crazy or not, whether it's true or not, the man is pure entertainment. And we can leave it there if you want it.
Yeah.
He is going to be one of 2 possible outcomes where somebody is probably going to say something that never leaves that arena.
Oh, yeah.
He may just go the respectful route and just spend his time putting over the Rock and Roll Express, who absolutely deserve the praise. Or he's going to do that and go off the rails. I'll be happy with either, but I kind of want to see him go off the rails because a Jim Cornette rant, whether you agree with it or not, is always entertaining.
And just in case we don't get that, inducting DDP is Eric Bischoff. We get Jim Cornette and Eric Bischoff in the same thing with microphones.
Oh, brother. It's going to be good.
It's going to be excellent.
I love the Hall of Fame. I would never skip the Hall of Fame in a lifetime because it's one of my favorite things of they shoot the breeze about great road stories, and I love hearing stuff like that. Just how crazy it can get. And the Hall of Fame is just a night filled with that. And I love it. And there's so much potential for that, especially with the Ron Simmons, JBL, Teddy Long combination. There's going to be some real dumb stories that happen there, and I cannot wait for it. I love the Hall of Fame.
Another combination here. As far as I know, this is the last combination where we have the inductor also confirmed. Inducting Beth Phoenix is going to be Natalya. Now, a lot of people were saying, well, it should maybe be her husband, Edge. But Natalya makes sense because obviously they were a tag team for a while there at the tail end, or in the middle, I should say, of the Divas division. And I think that's actually, I'm looking forward to this because I know I openly say that I'm not a fan of when Natalya speaks. So I'm hoping...
But she's a heart. Okay, she's the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
Damn, so I guess I'm wrong.
Did she ever tell you that she was a heart? Because she's a heart.
Really? Natalya's a heart? I didn't know that she was a heart. She's got the heart
and the desire. But yeah, like I'm hoping that we get to see a different side of her. And that maybe like that is something that continues going. Like it's just a nitpick. I know some people don't mind how she speaks and all that, but... I'm looking forward to this. You know, we do have Rick Rude. We also have the Warrior Award entrant with Rick Rude. As far as I know, there's no confirmed person to be inducting him yet. There are a couple of rumors. Now, based on these combinations, which ones, based on the possible stories and chemistry and dynamics, which one are you guys looking forward to the most?
For myself, it's probably a tie between Eric Bischoff / DDP and John Cena, Kurt Angle. Because John Cena, Kurt Angle is probably just going to be craziness. I can see Cena just bringing out the comedy in a pure John Cena form and it just being a lot of fun. And then Kurt Angle just being Kurt Angle. Like Kurt Angle on stage in the Hall of Fame is going to be a moment. It's a moment that we've been building speculation around for months at this point, and it's so freaking exciting that we're going to see Kurt Angle on the WWE
The fact
product.
that we get to be a part of that. Basically,
we get to
Kurt
chant,
Angle's...
you suck.
Like I've got like almost goosebumps just from thinking about hearing Kurt Angle's theme going through that arena. Like I'm going to freak the F out as I'm going to become 10 years old again during that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super
sure
looking forward to the Kurt Angle one, and then Jim Cornette, man. I can't wait to hear what he has to say, but I'm excited for all of them, really.
I think that the JBL Ron Simmons one has the potential to be the funniest one because even the announcers have said that Teddy Long was apparently a very cheap bastard on the road. Like so many people have been talking about that, and JBL has poked fun at him for that. So I'm hoping that we get to hear some of those road stories because I think even Jericho talked a little bit about that on his podcast, and I was laughing so much.
I've been listening to a lot of Talk and Shop this week because I hadn't heard them before, and they bring up just how cheap Teddy Long can be in one of those episodes, and it's pretty amazing. But yes, he seems like an insanely cheap man on the road. Holla holla. And by the way, Talking Shop, the best thing ever. If you haven't listened to them, you should really give them a shot.
Jericho's got a lot of awesome stuff happening in his podcast. So, folks, let us know which one is the one that you're looking forward to the most. Maybe not necessarily because you're happy that person is being inducted, but just that you think you're going to get the most enjoyment out of that combination of like the lead up, the stories, and eventually the person sharing their side of it. It's going to be like a 4 or 5 hour podcast, basically, that we sit down, fancy, and enjoy those stories. So I really just cannot wait. I think you get my smile through audio form, just talking a little bit about that. So, folks, remember every single week, you can send us questions by thatcast@gmail.com. You can also send them through Twitter using the hashtag AskBT. After the questions, do not leave unless you're driving, which in in which case, really, you're not going anywhere. You're just driving a little bit more, because in the Byte That Weekly Update, we are going to have the full card for Bytemania, a little bit more details about the live podcast we are going to be doing this coming Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time is when we start the whole deal with Bytemania, so stay tuned for that. So, Keith, what do we got?
What do we got? We got some great questions this week. So
Nice.
great, Tony the Tiger might be proud of these questions. Don't follow Tony the Tiger on Twitter. It's a bad time. So our first question comes from Echo Waltz on Twitter, who asks, what are your thoughts on Southpaw regional wrestling?
Here we go.
Do you think they'll make more episodes in the future? Holy hell, Southpaw Regional Wrestling is the best thing I have seen in a long time.
We
It's
teased
so
it last
good,
week,
guys.
because we didn't really know what was going to
It lived
happen.
up to every expectation. It's so good.
Just talk about it. I can feel your energy, man. Just what did you like about it the most?
Howling. It left me howling. I was so happy about it. And like, real talk, the thing that I really loved most about it was the fact that if you break it down, Southpaw Regional Wrestling is an advertisement. As somebody who works in advertising, they mastered it. They made the perfect advertisement in my mind, and it is so good at that. But just how you could tell all of the care and love that went into Southpaw, from just like the inside jokes, the acts, the performances, people. You know what? I was about to break or like go into detail about who killed it the most, but really everybody did a phenomenal job playing their characters in it. And oh my god, it's so good. Southpaw is my favorite thing that I've seen in a long time. All that being said, do I think they should make more episodes? No. Too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing. And let's love it for what it is. Let's not ask for more. If they do more, maybe a couple in the future. But there's always... Wrestling in particular is really bad for just finding a good thing and then beating it to absolute death until we don't like it anymore. So let's appreciate what we have. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I would definitely like to see more, 100%. I do really like the fact, though, that you never see matches. It kind of leaves it up to the imagination, and the fact that you kind of just see the promos and stuff, I thought was a really clever way of doing it. But there's so much potential, I think, left with this that I would like to see a little bit more. I really like how they kept it at like 4 to 7 minute episodes. And even the KFC commercials that were in it, that was clearly like almost the whole purpose behind everything. They integrated the flavor and the story into the KFC thing with the Ric Flair impersonator. And he's like, oh, come down to the
super not Ric Flair.
Yeah, it's definitely not Ric Flair. Come to the KFC by the high school or whatever. Maybe, meet the people of Southpaw Regional
Wrestler
Wrestling.
might sign your wrapper. Woo,
yeah,
if you're
exactly.
nice and lucky.
All of that was so well done. You really love every single character. Chet Cheddarfield is Fandango. He never says anything. Cena was amazing as, what the heck's his name? Lance Catamaran. That's his name. Yeah. And just his comedic timing and how he's carrying the announce team the whole time. I think one underrated person on this like series was definitely Jericho as Clint Bobsky. I didn't read a lot of people talking about him, but he just mastered that cheesy interview guy. Like, he had the voice, he had the outfit, he just had the entire act down.
Yeah, the try-hard
perfectly.
guy.
Yeah. I thought Jericho was really underrated because everybody did phenomenal though.
Yeah, I loved it so much. What I think that people need to give even more credit, even though he is already getting the credit, is John Cena, because John Cena probably doesn't need to do any of this. Like, this is ultimately an advertisement. Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC paid for this, and I think that this is ingenious because instead of them paying a company to just talk about their product, they said, no, we are going to sponsor something that people are going to love so much, they're going to get such a kick out of it, that they're going to naturally want our woo, tangy, woo, whatever the hell else thing. Like
crispy, woo,
yeah,
woo.
Honey.
Yeah,
Honey
like,
mustard.
You know, advertising works. When I stopped eating, fast food and all that because, well, I'm trying to get in better shape. And I was thinking to myself, I got to buy some KFC just to show some support for
You gotta
this.
get Georgia Gold chicken.
Yeah, and I'm on Ryan's fence. I think that they should do more of it. I think they should not do the same thing extensively. I think that they need to do a different thing about it. What I loved about it most as well was that it shows that wrestling is not about the wrestling. Everybody loves this. There's not a second of actual action or violence, because that's not... We all need to, as much as even the biggest of the biggest wrestling fans out there won't like to admit, the best part about wrestling is not the in-ring competition. Because when everything else is so good, the wrestling is almost complementary to the story, to the outrageous characters. And I will add, WWE needs to add some more outrageous characters to the roster. Because the premier athlete, Tony Nese, I love you, man, but I'm pretty sure everybody in WWE is a premier athlete. I think you should be like above most athletes. This is not a shoot. This is not crapping on Tony Nese because I love him. But that nickname triggers me. Talking about triggers, that triggers me. Because everybody's a damn athlete. Everybody, man. Sorry.
Tony Nese's abs should be Tony Nese's character.
Yes, I'm the abs
Let's
man.
get some Sea Creature, man. We need Sea Creature.
Surf dudes with attitudes, but awesome question.
Yeah, the Ascension should just become the Surf Dudes with
Yes, they
attitude.
should. Yes.
Because
That was
Ascension ain't
probably
working
one
out.
of my favorite lines. Like, that's right, folks. It's not the Beach Boys. It's the surfer dudes with attitudes. Like, that is the most 80s wrestling freaking thing. Oh, holy shit, Southpaw was so good. Thank you for the question. Our next question comes in from Will L., who asks, what would your ultimate WrestleMania card be? You can choose from any combination of previous WrestleMania matches, but you must keep to the following rules. Each superstar can only compete in one match. At least one of each tier of title, like the WWE World Title, United States Intercontinental, so on and so forth. There must be one multi-man match. There has to be an Undertaker match. And there must be at least one part-timer / celebrity participant. Love the show and looking forward to all the content you bring us over WrestleMania week. Well, thank you.
Okay, so to sort of streamline this, man, I can't talk this week. So to streamline this a little bit, what I've done is I've pulled up this Google Doc that we're all going to be filling in now. So we have, let's put a main championship match, a mid-card championship. So we're fusing them up. A tag team, Money in the Bank. Like, let's start it off maybe with like...
And we're choosing from previous WrestleMania matches.
Yeah, according to
What?
this.
Hold on, wait.
Well, he says
Yes.
you can. I don't think he specifies
You
that we
can
have
choose
to.
from any combination of but must keep the following rules. Yeah, it doesn't have to be previous WrestleMania matches.
Like,
Okay.
for Money in the Bank, I'm terrible at remembering, but I think it's special to me that maybe we put in the match that Edge won, because that was the start of something. I think I like it when a match leads to later more character development, and that was the case with Edge, where I think with most of the Money in the Bank matches, let's be honest, you get your Damien Sandows of the WWE where not a lot else happens. So would you guys agree with that, or maybe go with something else?
I'm good with that for the multi-man.
As far as multi-man matches goes, I would say either that or the...
So that was
really,
Mania 21. Although we're not always going to have the Mania number.
Yeah, that or that really dumb hardcore battle royal from WrestleMania 2000, where it was just a complete train wreck.
Oh,
But
yeah.
For
That
the
would be the
women's
fun
match,
answer.
I'm actually going to vote for last year's Triple Threat. The Charlotte... Becky, Sasha triple threat, because you know what? That was actually the best wrestling match on the whole damn show.
Yeah, I'm not really thinking of any women's
Like, you mean
matches.
have Mickie James versus Trish, but I think this was a better match.
Yeah, I think this was better. I think a lot of people forget that huge botch at the end where, yeah, they edited that out, but that did take away a lot of the match, because
Yeah.
the conclusion of
Agreed.
the match was like a really weak kick.
So for the tag match, is there any world where it's not TLC 2?
Yeah, man.
TLC 2. TLC 2.
I'm trying to limit myself from like that WrestleMania era, like WrestleMania 17 and all that. Because even for the
But
WWE
there's just
Championship,
nothing that comes close.
because at least for me with the WWE match, Stone Cold versus The Rock.
Now, wait. Oh, wait. No, we get some overlap. Oh,
yeah, because Edge. Because Edge.
Okay.
So
Money
we
in
need
the
to
Bank
change.
probably has to go. We can move the Money in the Bank to like WrestleMania 22's Money in the Bank or 23.
I have terrible memory, man. 22 was who won there?
22 was that when Kennedy
Well,
won?
Matt Hardy was in that one, wasn't he?
Oh boy.
I don't think we can go with Money in the Bank here.
Okay, let's leave that last. I think Money in the Bank is
okay,
probably
let's leave the
multi-man match,
multi-man.
gimmick battle royal for WrestleMania 17. We're safe.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be for. I
Iron
would not be
Sheik
against
And I mean,
that.
yeah.
So we're putting gimmick battle royal. I'm running it terribly on purpose.
Or there's also, like, to go back to WrestleMania 17, there was that triple threat hardcore match with, like, Raven and Kane, where the show almost ended.
Actually,
Well, it
I would
needs to be
totally
like a battle
something like that.
royal. It needs to be battle royal, Andre the Giant thing, or Money in the Bank. You know, a triple threat really isn't.
Talking about The
multi-man.
Undertaker, we got to put one of the Shawn Michaels matches, right? Like, I'm thinking maybe I'm
first
still,
one?
First one.
Man, I love both. I'm fine with adding
I
either
think the
one.
first one is a little better. I prefer the WrestleMania 25 one, but that's personal preference.
But we agree with Shawn Michaels Taker?
Yes. Yep.
For celebrity, I'm just going to put it. This is a very careful answer. I'm being very careful with what I put here. I do think that the Umaga Bobby Lashley match would be fascinating, considering the person that is the celebrity would technically be the precedent. I know Umaga's not here with us anymore, but this is a dream WrestleMania card, right? So I just think it would be fascinating to see how that would play out, like the news media and all that.
Yeah.
That would be real good with the presidential
let's just
angle.
throw Trump in there.
I would, but Sean, no, because for another one that I would say this, but it would create overlap in this case, would be, it's a cop-out answer, but Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels, where Mike Tyson was the
we need
the guest
HBK for the
enforcer.
Taker match.
But we need HBK.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could do like Big Show
unless we go
Mayweather.
with Triple H, unless we go with end of an era for the Taker match.
Wait, but isn't Shawn Michaels the
But
referee?
Sean's special referee, but I guess
Sean's the referee.
Sean's in
Yeah.
everything, man.
Okay. Shit.
So we got to keep that there. So let's
Lashley
maybe,
Umaga.
yeah, let's
It's
put that.
probably
Trump.
got to be Lashley Umaga.
Because even if Stone Cold is in the main event,
What about Roddy Piper versus Mr. T? That train wreck.
Yeah, no.
nah,
Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
I don't think that's
I mean, it was an
joking.
actual match with a celebrity in the match.
So far, our WrestleManias, we got a tag match, that's TLC 2. We got the gimmick battle royal, Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, HBK versus Taker 1, Umaga versus Lashley for IC title match.
I'm going to say Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Oh, that's hard.
One of the best, greatest matches of all time.
See, you can't really argue. Can you argue with that? I don't think you can.
No, it's done.
Off the top of my head, I don't have a better one.
So let's put that
Especially
there.
like
Meanwhile,
recently, very like in the past like 8 years or so, I feel like the IC and US title
exactly,
like
it's barely
gets largely ignored at at WrestleMania.
so
Now
for
WWE title match.
like that gets tricky because there's a lot that you could put in that even includes Shawn Michaels. Because like WrestleMania 20, I wasn't a big fan, but
we can't use WrestleMania 20.
So the matches that pop out that are still available at the moment are, the first one is Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar from WrestleMania 19.
Yeah.
I think that's the front runner. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock, probably their first encounter at WrestleMania 15. I think that match is a little better than 17. John Cena, any of his WrestleMania matches?
I would still put Stone Cold versus The Rock, whether it be 17 or
just
15.
do Stone Cold and The Rock.
That's probably the biggest main event, but it's not the best main event, because that would be Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle.
See, for me, it depends, because when I think about that match, especially 17, I know that 15, a lot of people like it more. Just the audience, the atmosphere, like WrestleMania 17 was in such a great moment to be a wrestling fan.
It's the biggest match ever.
Yeah, and think about that crowd. Like, everybody had a sign. Everybody cared for everybody. Like, it's not like now. You can have Stone Cold versus The Rock, but it wouldn't have that same magical audience. So I think, like, it's not just about the match. It's about things surrounding it. So that's why I would put maybe that one.
And that leaves us with 3 WrestleMania 17 matches.
I mean, it's the best WrestleMania of all time really for a reason.
Yeah,
I mean, the first WrestleMania I saw. Who knew it would be all downhill from there?
Yeah. You started the show with a showstopper there. Okay, yeah, I'm willing to go with that.
Stone Cold
Juan,
versus
would you like
The
to
Rock.
run down our WrestleMania?
Yes, so the pre-Bytemania, WrestleMania is as follows. The celebrity match, we have Umaga with Vince McMahon versus Bobby Lashley with Donald Trump with a hair versus hair match. We have the Undertaker match, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker 1. The Women's Championship match is a triple threat bout between Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch. We have the gimmick Battle Royal simply because we got to have Sheiky Baby win because he can't be thrown over the top rope.
That's the cop-out answer of any other one screws with the rest of our card.
Keep in mind that even in our ideal WrestleMania, there is a throwaway match. So we can never complain about that again.
We got to cool the audience down, right?
Exactly.
So that they can be hyped.
You cool them off with Cheeky Baby. So we have TLC 2 as the tag team match bout. And then we have Macho Man versus Ricky Steamboat. We're just getting on that New Day time machine, going way back and just having that happen now.
If anybody out there in Listenerland hasn't seen that match,
you have to.
Do yourself a favor.
Yeah. Or any Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat is so underrated. And then main event, we have Stone Cold versus The Rock, WrestleMania 17. But everybody listening, would you put that one or 15? Let us know in the world, wherever you listen to us.
Indeed. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Tiba29, who asks, do you think Breezy Bella should be in the SmackDown Women's Championship match at WrestleMania? Love the show. Sure.
I do think he should come out and interfere or something, because like they're not really going to do anything. Like, I was so happy about Southpaw because Fandango and Tyler Breeze got to do something relevant. But unless it's this, I don't think there's much for them.
Yeah, that didn't really... That wasn't a good look for Tyler Breeze. And if we're trying to bring respect back to women's wrestling, probably not the route to go. But clearly he was joking here. I do find it interesting, though, that we had Fandango versus John Cena this week. And I think that was entirely because of Southpaw Regional Wrestling, that they did essentially Lance Catamaran versus Chet Cheddarfield.
Has to have been. And it was a good look for Tyler Breeze. He did look quite fabulous. It wasn't a good look. Like, that's a steep hole that Mr. Breeze is going to be climbing out of probably for a while. Dark times are ahead in Breeze world. So thank you for the question. So this next question that comes in from the True Prince of Pro, I think a little bit of story time needs to happen before it and really explain the origins of Byte That and how many moons ago, Juan recently mentioned this on Twitter, but we met over in a Yahoo chat room discussing...
Over some bad blood.
Over some bad blood. We joined through bad blood. See, the hatred was really there from the start. Specifically, Bad Blood 2004. We all got together for the very first time. Brian was presenting us, let's say, with the pay-per-view that he may have
definitely
acquired.
Wasn't me.
Really? Was it you?
I never had pay-per-view.
I always thought it was you.
No, it was another person.
It definitely wasn't me.
Yeah, so basically, like, I did some commentary-ish thing about it, and then somebody else, like, with like this 2-frame-a-second webcam, had it pointed to his TV screen so we could see the pay-per-view, and ideally, even though he could just pop the microphone to the TV so people could hear it, was having me commentate the 2 frames a second that people were trying to enjoy. Yes, that went over as well as you think it would. The question that True Prince asks is if we should maybe do some live commentary.
You want to do
this? Over that. And the reason that he brings up that as a question is that, I don't know if you guys know, Keith and Ryan, Bad Blood is coming back this year. Like, they've confirmed it is a pay-per-view that is returning, and hence the question. So it's a little bit crazy that it is coming back. It's a pay-per-view that it's not one of our favorites, but it's a milestone or a key component to what later on went to become Byte That. So he's asking if we would be willing to do some live commentary over a pay-per-view or something. Something I do want to mention quickly is that we're less than $20 away from our Patreon goal for the $100 goal, and there we will be launching a secondary RSS feed. Ryan always talks a little bit about that at the bottom of the show, and it will allow us to do more things like this, like more discussion content, or maybe more things that we can just have a little bit of fun. So if you guys would like to see something like this down the line, let us know. So as we reach different goals, we can make that a possibility.
So to throw you guys completely under the bus for a second here, by the way, thank you for that. That was lovely. If you ever want to do the question segment and to just take it over, you can let me know. But to throw you guys under the bus for a second, this idea is something that I've wanted to do for years at this point, kind of commentate and just talk over pay-per-views. So, but they've kind of hummed and hawed about it. I don't know.
I will say something to the three of our defenses. When you mentioned that, the network was horribly inconsistent. Like, horribly.
That is fair. That is true. I will give you that.
I think we can do that maybe now.
If this is something you guys out there in listener land actually want to see, I'm super into this idea. I love the thought of just like, hey, it's not going to be anything official. Like, we're not going to be calling moves and calling spots, but just like kind of director's commentary over old pay-per-views. I love this idea. I think it's great. And yeah, it's something that we could totally do and throw on that second feed that'll be available once we hit that patron goal, potentially. Ryan, anything to add? Now that I've poo-pooed you?
I'm definitely the one that's most hesitant about it. Like, will I have enough things to say? But obviously, hanging out with you guys, I'm sure there won't be a dull moment in the conversation, especially all watching something on wrestling. So it definitely will be a good time. So yeah, I'm definitely down to try it sometime.
Indeed. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from USC Punk, who asks, Keith, will you ever get a personal Twitter account? I have one I don't use, and I'm not going to use it because I don't really like social media. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Cynical Justin. Justin.
The often requested Keith Twitter account. Ladies and gentlemen who have been asking us on Twitter, you have gotten your answer.
Yeah, the answer is no. Sorry.
You can talk to me and Juan, though. Juan is at EpicJC. I am at the Ryan McNulty. Those are our personal Twitter accounts. And of course, at Byte That Cast is always there.
Honestly, I look at our Twitter occasionally. And if you do have any questions for me.
Thank you.
If you do ever have any questions for me or want to talk to me directly, you can tweet at Byte That Cast, and I'll probably respond to you.
People start hammering. Okay, if you've never used our Twitter account, just hammer it for the next week with questions to Keith. Specifically to Keith. Like, forget about Ryan and me. Just hammer him down with questions.
And I might respond. So thank you again for the question. Our next one comes in, as previously mentioned, by Cynical Justin, who asks...
We get Cynical Keith answering Cynical Justin.
Indeed. We're on like a wavelength. I love this man. And he asks, if there were food items based off of wrestler names, what would they be called?
So this is like a playoff, like you mix the name with a food item, right?
Yeah, like a Simon Dean lean pork.
I'd say like phenomenal pork rib, phenomenal baby back ribs, just because I love. If you want to make me a happy person, you get me a full rack of ribs. So I think some phenomenal racks of ribs would be good.
Yeah.
That pause really changed things a little bit.
Too much Nikki Bella on this episode?
Yeah. Like a Bella hella good steak or something like that.
Oh man, we were
they
struggling
have like hell
with
of a
actual
good
names.
cheese. You could have Bell of a good cheese or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, Keith. What do we got over here? Got potatoes? Got potatoes? Taters, by the way, for those that if you're not sure what I'm saying
I
right
still
now.
stand by the great cauliflower. That is the ultimate food item.
We need one more. Let's see. We need
a restaurant would be like the club pub.
Just nailed it.
I don't think we can end on a higher note than that.
Indeed. So thank you for the question. Our final question of this episode, this train wreck, comes in from Cody E., who asks, greetings from Portland, Oregon.
Hi.
If The Undertaker still had his WrestleMania streak intact, making it around 24-0, who would have the best chance at ending the streak? Would it be someone like Jason Voorhees? Or maybe Freddy Krueger? Thank you for your consideration of this ridiculous question. Well, thank you for asking it, Cody E.
I don't know why. I immediately got this image of like current Undertaker, like really tired. Bane comes in and just destroys him, breaks his back, like just throws him around the ring.
You merely adopted the Undertaker gimmick. I was born by it, raised by it.
Also, Cody,
I didn't see WrestleMania till I was already a man.
Cody, I see you're from Portland. Have you gone to Voodoo Donuts? If not, you need to go to Voodoo Donuts and tweet us a picture. It's phenomenal. Who else?
Well, of the options given, I would definitely pick Jason Voorhees over Freddy Krueger because, he said outside the dream world. I was going to say, if we get a WrestleMania match and it's just Undertaker sleeping and we can't even see the dream that's going on, it's not going to be very exciting.
Or maybe we're all asleep for that WrestleMania match, which...
Just Undertaker in a bed in the middle of the ring. This is awesome.
Fight forever. There's no fighting, just a lot of sleeping. But thank you to everybody for all of the awesome questions, whether they be from the dream world or the real world. I almost said dream world twice, which wouldn't make sense. So thank you so much for all of that. And now the show's not over. We got a lot of information. Remember, this is the last show before the week of WrestleMania weekend. So Ryan, this is your boy. This is your box of informational goodies for the world, right?
Is it now? Because you definitely have the card, Juan. So you should probably read the card.
Well, so ladies and gentlemen, I am back after a long sabbatical. What's happening this Saturday, folks? Over at twitch.tv/byte that. Love this.
You didn't link me to the card, Juan.
Oh, sorry, but I'll put it in the document, which we all read while I remember and remind people that Byte is happening this upcoming Saturday, March 25th, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Very important as far as I know, that is 10 a.m. Pacific Time, because one of our great Patreon supporters did ask that, so check your local time zone for the start time. Byte will be about an hour and a half to a 2-hour event where we will have 8 matches, some of them based on the actual WrestleMania card that is going to be happening. Ryan, do you see the card on the document
I
now?
do have the card now.
Okay. So now we do the thing we tried to do last week. I say a match, and then you say a match. We're going to start from top down. That sound good?
I got it.
All right. So, without further ado, here's the full card, not in order, for that Byte event, which, remember, we will be doing throughout multiple video games, not just one WWE game. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. What's the first match?
First match we got on the card will be a match that's also taking place at WrestleMania, we got Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton, and we're going to be doing that in WWE 2K16.
Next up, we have a fantasy match that we originally thought was going to happen at this year's WrestleMania and the year before, and maybe the year before. And it is John Cena versus the Dead Man, the Phenom, The Undertaker, and we will be doing that in WWE Day of Reckoning 2 for the Nintendo GameCube.
Next match we're doing is a match that is actually kind of come back into relevance with the amount of CM Punk chants that have been going on recently. But CM Punk versus Triple H, a WrestleMania match that probably should have happened at some point, and that'll be in WWE SmackDown versus Raw 2012.
Yeah, one of the last games that featured CM Punk. We got only a couple of those. This one's going to be a little bit interesting because it's going to be Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. But this is not your traditional wrestling match. This is a retirement match because this will be done in WrestleMania 19 for the Nintendo GameCube. Now, without going into too much detail, if you've played that game, you know that game has a couple of interesting match types that are not traditionally in a ring. So we're going to be having some fun with that.
Next up, we're going to have a match involving three fantastic wrestlers who really never crossed paths with each other. And this triple threat match is going to be Shawn Michaels versus The Rock versus Eddie Guerrero. And that'll be done in one of my favorite wrestling games ever, WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain.
And I forgot to update that. It is not happening there. It's happening. It's one of your favorite games, Ryan. I'm sorry. Real talk.
It is one of my favorite games, but it's going to be in another game. What game was?
It's WWE 2K14. For context.
Listen, guys, the AI sucks, and Here Comes the Pain. Forgive us.
Yeah, like I did record a lot of these. I recorded all of these matches for the sake of just logistics. It's way more fun. Ryan and Keith have seen none of the matches. I saw a bit of this, and it lasted over 30 minutes, and Here Comes the Pain, and they could barely hit a move on each other, and I figured this isn't working, so it's going to be 2K14. Up next, we have Kevin Owens versus his former best friend, Chris Jericho, and that'll be done in WWE 2K16.
And after that, we're going to have a Byte-A-Mania ladder open challenge match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. You guys voted for his opponent, and that is going to be Kurt Angle, and that'll be done in Day of Reckoning 1.
One of my favorite games of all time, and thanks to everybody that voted, it was literally right there between Kurt Angle and JTG. And JTG was in the lead for a little while, and right there at the end, boom, Kurt Angle got the victory. And the final match, we have a Female Legends Showcase match between Trish Stratus and Lita in a street fight in WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. So we're going through multiple generations of games. It's going to be one hell of a ride. Remember, this is happening this upcoming Saturday, March 25th, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. Remember to follow our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/bytethat, so you get notified as soon as we go live. We'll also let you know as soon as we go live throughout all social media, including YouTube.
And don't forget the live podcast part of that stream as well.
Yeah, so like right after the stream, we're going to be doing a live podcast with a Q&A, so get your questions ready. And that will be going up as part of our pre-WrestleMania podcast. So like what's going to be happening next week is that we're going to do a predictions portion that is going to be recorded on that Wednesday. But then we're also going to be lumping this up. So if you get a question on the stream, that question will be going up live on the actual podcast airing next week. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. This is like the first time we've ever done any type of live podcast type of thing. So really looking forward to it. If you want your questions answered, you should come hang out. Go to twitch.tv/bytethat. If you want to, so you don't forget, you can head over there now ahead of time, hit the follow button. That way, your mobile device or whatever can notify you when we actually go live on Saturday. But we want to thank you guys for listening to another edition of the Byte That podcast. we're closing in on WrestleMania. In fact, a week from today, I will be in Florida. So we'll make sure to keep you guys posted. There will be a podcast next week. The format just might be slightly different because, like we said, we're going to have a portion of the live podcast as well as other content. So some other things that you should definitely check out. We've got a new debate that going up on our YouTube channel this weekend. Go over to youtube.com/ByteThatCast. That's available early access for patrons. Debate that. This time we debate on, is the Hell in a Cell match still worth doing? Keith and I go head to head in that debate while Juan moderates. It was a really fun video, so you should definitely check that out this weekend or get early access, patreon.com/ByteThat. Juan, his personal channel, Juan and I discussed Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, a fantastic game that recently just came out, and that's on Juan's channel, vid.me/epicjc. Did I get the link right? All right, awesome. Our personal Twitters, we said before, if you want to follow me, that is at the Ryan McNulty. Juan is at EpicJC, and Keith says no. He poo-poos that. But you can always talk to Keith on our Byte That Twitter at Byte That Cast. If you really want to help out the show, there are tons of ways to do so, including hitting the subscribe button on whatever device you listen to us on, whatever podcast app, or like we said, YouTube. And hey, give the show a 5-star review on whatever device as well. iTunes, Stitcher, those reviews really do help spread the word. It helps us show up when people are searching for new wrestling podcasts to listen to. So we appreciate any of those. And if you want to go the extra mile to support Byte That, you can head over to patreon.com/ByteThat. For as little as $1, you can get a raw and uncut video version of the podcast. There's tons of other perks, so head over to patreon.com/ByteThat for more information.
Hey everybody, Juan here, cutting off Mr. Ryan McNulty, and well, myself, because I was probably talking at some point here. We originally did a closing for the podcast talking about JR's wife and how she was hanging in there. He had written a blog post about the situation that happened, that if some don't know, basically she was involved in an accident where she didn't have a helmet, and her injuries were pretty severe. Even JR admitted in his blog post he was in tears writing it. Obviously, we at the Byte That, the Bike Club, all of us have JR and his family in our prayers and our thoughts. Positive vibes to the families, especially now that JR unfortunately sent out a tweet on March 22nd at 8:40 p.m. writing, "A priest gave my wife Jan her last rites tonight. My little angel is gone." Obviously, it's never easy to lose a human being, a person, somebody that you know and love, especially his wife, who JR said is like his best friend for so many years together. So everybody, please just tweet JR's barbecue on Twitter. Send him your positive vibes, your hugs, your energy. We do a podcast. We have a lot of fun around here. We make fun of each other. It's all about a community. So right now, what's important is that we as the Bike Club, we as a community can help JR through this hard time. Our thoughts and prayers once again, and hugs to his family. So thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed to everything else that's happening right now. But for the time being, what matters is JR and his family.